Sir, I have not studied anything so far, and if I start now, will I be able to do it? What should be my strategy if I want to clear NEET PG 2021? Man, sometimes I wish I got 100 rupees every time this question was asked to me. I would be a millionaire by now. Anyways, the short answer for those questions is yes, you will be able to clear it. But if you want to know how, watch this video till the end. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Abbas Ali, a full-time orthopedic surgeon, a faculty of orthopedics, father of 2 boisterous kids, and also a part-time YouTuber. First things first, let's thank God we finally have a date for NEET PG 2021, which is on April 18 this year. And depending on when you end up watching this video, you have somewhere around 3 months for the exam, or maybe less. And believe it or not, that's a good chunk of time to clear the exam. And many people have already done it before. So disbelievers, I want you to know that you can do this. You want to know how I can say that? You clicked to watch this video, isn't it? Which means you want to do this. So some part of you already believes you can do this, and that's the most important step. The will and some faith. And when you combine both of them, you can achieve it, my friend. This is not new territory for us. We all know what we have to do. We have to read the notes, watch the videos, practice the MCQs, give grand tests, and repeat the cycle for revisions, and you have the success formula for any exam on the planet. But for that, we should have started a long time ago. But that's no fun, right? We are thrill seekers, aren't we? We only study when it's a matter of life and death. So keeping our adventurous tendencies in mind, I'm suggesting a structure based on the feedback from many people who have cracked it in less than 3 months. But before I begin, here is the disclaimer. Does this strategy guarantee a rank? No. Is this the best strategy in the whole universe? No. Do you have to follow this? Absolutely not. Will following this strategy help you succeed in your mission of finding love of your life? No. Then what's the point? The point is that if you follow this strategy, you'll at least get a decent rank. And I believe it's better to struggle smart in your preparation than to leave everything to luck. So here it goes. The strategy that I'm talking about will start from the last day of your preparation. Because when you start, you have so much to cover and so many things to do. And it's all over the place. But if you work your timeline backwards, you will understand that there are only a few things you need to focus on in the beginning of your preparation, which matters at the end. So let's start with the last day. Let me just ask you, how many hours do you think you will be able to study on the last day of your preparation? 20 hours, 16 hours, 14 hours, 12 hours? Let's just say for the sake of this conversation, you will be studying 13 hours on the last day of your preparation. What do you think you will be able to achieve in those last 13 hours just a day before the exam? Will you be able to read everything? Will you be able to finish everything you planned? Will you be able to go through every little thing that you have read over these 3 months? You don't have time. You don't. You just have 13 hours before the exam. So what will you be focusing on? See, these are the things I want you to start building up from day one so that your last day of preparation becomes extra easy. Do you understand what I'm doing here? I'm showing you what you need to focus on from day one to make your last day count. So what do you need ready by that day? First thing, you need your 20th book. Now, if you don't know what that book is, watch this video over here and you will understand what it's all about. In short, it's a notebook which has the collection of all the factual information that you need to remember for this exam. It's a collection of random facts that have been asked across all the subjects in one place so that you can quickly go through them before your exam and keep them in your short-term memory. You also need a collection of bookmarked questions from the question bank and properly bookmarked pearls from any app that you use. Now, these bookmarked questions and pearls can be from the standard question bank, can be from the silly mistakes you made in the grand tests or the mock tests. It can be from anywhere. These are the questions you felt you needed to review before you go for the exam because they were either volatile or very confusing. Another important thing you cannot miss reviewing on the last day are the previous year questions of AIIMS, INI set and NEET PG exam. all the way up to the last 3 years. You cannot miss this. If these questions and concepts are tested again, you should not make a mistake, because if you do, you're out of the race. And also, don't forget to watch my YouTube video talking about getting exam day ready. That will come on the last day before the exam. And in case you don't want to miss it, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon. There, we simply sorted the last day of the exam. Isn't it simple? Now what about the week before the exam? Now the last week before the exam will be a mental circus. You will be plagued with self-doubt, confused about what to do, and you'll be at the verge of giving up. So I feel that the best way to overcome all of that is by keeping your mind extremely occupied with some task at hand. This is where something important comes in, your what to revise book. Now this is a book you have been preparing or should be preparing in the previous months, which will tell you what are the topics you need to revise from a particular subject. And you should prepare this book very meticulously in a way that will tell you exactly what you need to revise and where it is written. This is just a list of topics prepared by you over the weeks of your preparation, observing your frequent mistakes that were exposed when you were giving grand tests. Now don't make the mistake of revising the whole subject cover to cover. Instead, focus specifically on the topics that you're weak in. Now what to revise book will tell you where it is written so that you don't waste your time reading the things that you already know. It's like reading the first few pages of the book every time you open it. You essentially know that stuff, but you keep on reading it because that's how you're wired. Now, what should be the subjects you revise 1 week before the exam? I recommend doing short subjects like dermatology, anesthesiology, radiology, psychiatry, orthopedics, forensic medicine, and non-short but volatile subjects like community medicine, pharmacology, and microbiology. Try to wrap them up in this 1 week before the exam. And also, very importantly, don't forget to give your last grand test before the exam to keep yourself in the pace of exam. Now we've sorted the last day and the last week. What about the 2 weeks or 10 days before that? You need to revise the bulky subjects like medicine, surgery, OB-GYN, pathology, ENT, and ophthalmology. And first, try to do the topics that you have listed in what to revise book rather than doing everything. Now that you have figured out what you have to do in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I hope you understand what you need to do in the months before that. And that's the reason I approached it in this fashion, this retrograde fashion. So you should understand what is important before the exam. Now let's look at the overview. We said that we approximately have 19 days and we talked about the last 15 days already. Now let's talk about the remaining 75 days before that. Now I want to divide it into 45 days and 30 days. This is for people who are starting now. What about the people watching this video later? Just understand that we have divided the time at hand into 3 sectors in the ratios of 3:2:1. So if you have 80 days left, let's divide them according to 3:2:1. You will have roughly 40 days, 26 days, and 13 days. So if we start now, we have approximately 45 days in the first sector and then 30 days in the second sector. So what are we planning to do in these sectors? We have to finish the first reading with 4 grand tests in these 45 days of the first sector, and the remaining 30 days includes the first revision of everything that we have read with 3 grand tests. Did you get it? Is it possible, sir? Let's just figure out. See, if you're planning to read 19 subjects in the first 45 days, the question is, how are we going to allot the days for all of them? See, we are going to do it based on the weightage of marks in the exam. You have 300 questions in the exam across all the 19 subjects. So how many days or time should you devote to a particular subject? A simple formula to use is the number of questions asked of the subject that you are planning to read divided by 300, that is the total number of questions, multiplied by the number of days left in your first sector. That is, in our case, 40 to 41 days left, right? So suppose you want to read ortho, which has approximately 10 questions. The formula would look something like this: 10 questions divided by 300 questions multiplied by 40 days. That is around 1.5 days. And this, my friend, is extremely important. It doesn't matter what you do, how you do it, where you do it from, whatever there is to read and learn about orthopedics, has to be done in those 1.5 days. That's it. Because if you give it anything more than that, you're losing valuable time to learn potentially easy questions you could have read from other subjects, which now you'll not be able to answer in the exam because you decided to become an orthopedic surgeon. Please hammer this into your head. Reading some topics of many subjects is better than reading all the topics of one subject. Now that's why we need to prioritize those some topics by reading the things that have a high likelihood of showing up in your exam. So what do we do? What are those topics? How do we do the most important stuff from orthopedics in 1.5 days? Sounds impossible. This is what I suggest. I suggest dividing your days into 3 or 4 segments. Now each segment of 3 to 4 hours depending on how many hours of the day you're studying. Suppose you're studying 12 hours in a day. Now you should have 4 segments of 3 hours or 3 segments of 4 hours each. And now you divide orthopedics into those segments and you try to finish as much as possible in those segments. For example, in the first segment, you want to do upper limb and lower limb trauma, or in the second segment, you want to do peripheral nerve injuries and bone tumors. So you try to finish as much as possible in those segments. Again, the keyword is as much as possible. You will not be able to finish everything, and you should be okay with that. You should let it go because you know for a fact that you cannot do everything because you started late. But you're going to be smart and will start from extremely high yield topics, the ones that will give you the most bang for your buck. See, whenever you are confused in terms of what will give you the best bang for your buck, always go look at the previous year questions. Read the topics around those questions and try to find out what those options mean and why they are incorrect. Something similar which will help you achieve the same target is watching the revision videos and the MCQ discussion videos, or you can call it the test and discussion videos. There is a very high probability that the content from those videos will show up in your exam because the teacher is not only teaching the concept but also teaching you how to understand the question and to read between the lines. The teacher is also teaching you the thought process behind selecting the options. So you not only learn the topic but also the examiner's mindset, and by doing that you actually learn more than the topic. And everything you're learning will be extremely focused since it has already been tested and you will be getting exam ready. See, start with short subjects like I told you because they are not overwhelming, number one, and they tend to have limited syllabus and have a lot of repeated questions from the same topics. I think doing 2 to 3 short subjects is better than doing one major subject at this point of time. Finally, remember one important thing. All the knowledge you acquire will be useless if you don't learn how to apply it, and apply it particularly in exam-like scenario where you are under duress or pressure to focus and finish fast. So the only way you can learn to apply what you have studied is by practicing grand tests. You will overcome, number one, the exam anxiety, and you will master the exam skill, and you will also be able to identify your weak areas which you need to work on before the exam. So do 4 grand tests in the first sector and 3 grand tests in the second sector, and leave 1 more grand test for the last week before the exam. And the most important thing more than even taking the grand test, my friend, is actually reviewing it, because if you're not going to review the grand test, you have wasted your time. If you have made a silly mistake that is either conceptual or factual on the grand test, quickly add it to the what to revise book so that you review it just a few days before the exam. In the end, I would just like to say that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to compensate for all your laziness. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for people, who are starting now, for interns who are stuck in their duties, and for people who lost track. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for people who are distracted by family issues. Never have I ever witnessed this kind of advantage at such a major exam. So sit down and make the best of it. Click the thumbs up button and share this video with your friends. Leave a comment below. I love hearing from you. We can continue the discussion down there. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, consider subscribing and don't forget to click on the bell icon. Alright guys, I will see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.